Okay. So yeah, so just to get, yeah, I mean, we have ultimately, I think we have to look at it like it's a fashion statement now. I think it's
Right.
not like it
Yeah.
was when 50 years ago when we were.
Right.
But is it mean that I want a tattoo personally?
Oh, come on now. Get one racy one that just her. Would that be hysterical? That's what we should do. We should go get like henna tattoos that are just outrageous, like enter here or something just disgusting that our kids would be like, oh my God. And just like, and then, all of a sudden just put something on where they'd be able to see it and then see what they say. They'd be horrified and be like, oh my God, no mother of mine is going to have that on them.
Yeah,
But
to
it's
get it
all
right
about
here or
battles.
something.
Oh
But I
my
mean,
God.
some people, I know a lot of friends that have, and they're
Yeah.
not that much younger than me, but I guess 10 years younger makes a difference. I mean, like 50,
Absolutely.
40.
And where you grew up, like what your artistic expression was. Because if you're into music or rock or punk or whatever, you expect that.
Or different kinds of music. I mean,
absolutely.
should be-
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's very personal, and that's what I hear. It's like jewelry,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
some people like big jewelry, some little, but then we'll say, yeah, but it's your body. But that's no, the only thing I don't agree is parents that have their kids tattooed.
Oh my gosh, I
And
know.
that I have a hard time with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean,
But I don't think you're
obviously
allowed anymore.
yeah, I mean, obviously in America or Canada, but I know there's like cultures in Africa or tribunal things where they do certain, different things like maybe tattooing or piercing or something, but that's part of their origin, right? That's something they do always, but I agree with that. I don't mind when like little girl babies have earrings, but I don't like to see boys until they're like old enough to make that decision themselves. But once again, it's where you live, what your parents into.
See, that's a boy and girl. I don't know now. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Like where and this is where ultimately I really try now, like to not judge. Yes, we're human beings and it's very easy to judge. I think we talked about that. But then you start judging and then you're like, why? But what does it affect? Like, why would we judge? This is like
that's it. We don't want to be judged. But
I
there's
don't want to be judged.
So ever personal, right? When it comes to your own children, you're like, oh my God, I don't want them to like be criticized or embarrassed or, be the kid that has the bowl cut or the mullet or something. I mean, you're just like, you really have to realize that anything like a child in any way, shape, or form, it's not their fault. They're not the one choosing to like have a funny haircut or not have a good haircut or wearing raggedy, whatever their things are. It's not their. I mean, they're only kids. They're just they're innocent victims and all that sort of stuff, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. That's what it.
Hello, we're back. Yes, we are. Anyway, we were just talking about choosing our battles with our adult children, because as we all know as moms, as you're raising your children, you're always choosing battles, right? Like, okay, you don't want to overuse the word no, because then children don't understand like when you really mean no, like no, don't run out in front of a car. No, don't touch fire, right?
Absolutely.
So but everything is about choosing your battles in your friendships, in your marriage, in your life, and you're raising your kids, everything. And so that was our example talking about the tattoos, because maybe like, somebody else, like maybe a few 10 years ago, you might have thought, oh, someone's going to judge me if my kids get tattoos, or my parents might not like it or whatever. But you learn
that it does. First off, it doesn't matter, because there's always going to be some judgment, and second of all, well, it's their life. So do you want to be part of their life? This is, I think, as I'm growing into like the fact that they're becoming all like one at a time becoming adults, like you are, right? You're like, do how involved do I want to be in their life? Do I want to be part of their life? Do I want, or are my old ways, and we all evolve as a society. Like I was thinking, now it's rare we leave the house without our cell phone, and definitely like the
Exactly.
40 years old and under, they're always on their cell phone. I mean, us, we're like in that maybe we might, like I went for a walk and I didn't take my phone, but I'm really trying to, when I walk, to leave my
Right.
phone at home, to be more aware
Plugged. Right.
of,
Yes.
of this. But I always think about it because it's like this addiction of like being,
Oh, absolutely. It's a security. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't have my phone.
what
I
if
mean,
I miss
I
a
get lost
call?
in a paper bag. I have to have a charger. I have to have my phone because I'm so bad at remembering where I am, or not remembering where I am so much, but the directional part of it. I'm terrible with reading maps. I can't. So I'm like, it's pretty disgusting. I'm
Yeah,
not on it just to be plugged in, but just for that reason,
just to not get lost, not to,
Yep.
no, exactly. No, it's true. Like you even go in the woods, right? When we were walking in the woods and we didn't really know
Yeah.
which path, it's amazing that
Right.
with Google
Exactly.
Map, you're able to find your way. And I mean, we
Yeah.
would have found our way eventually, but maybe it would have taken
Maybe
longer.
quicker. Maybe Google helped us get there. Instead of 24 hours, it was like an hour and a half or something. Everybody was so funny because we were all like, it was a hot day. I hadn't done any exercise but get up to go to the refrigerator or something
But
in a
you were
while.
great though. You did
Oh
great.
my gosh, climbing up, I really honestly was like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. I think my 24-year-old son's gonna have to carry me up these stairs.
No,
I
but
was
he's not.
cramping.
Oh, come on, come on. We should post that picture that I
Oh
think
yeah, yeah, yeah.
our
That's it.
viewers would
Yeah.
maybe like that. It's such a sweet picture. I love that picture actually. And it's a great angle. And
It's
I
a
love
really
that
great,
white
I
shawl
know
that
we're
you're
trying to
wearing.
learn the angle thing, so we look a little bit better than the first podcast we did was a little disastrous. But yeah, the choosing your battle thing, that's a huge issue for when you're raising your kids in any situation at any
Yeah,
age level, right? But
yeah,
now with having adult children, you know, before you could say like, okay, if Joey was acting up and baseball is his favorite thing, well, then you take his mitt and you don't let him have the mitt for a half a day or
yeah.
whatever, you know, and
But
learning
now it's
battles.
tricky because now you would talk to psychologists or teachers or different parental
Right.
groups. They would say, well, if that's the sport that he does, then you don't want to take away from his sport, right? It's
Exactly.
even because
You're
now,
damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. It's
well,
because you could go to two different, you know, doctors or psychiatrists or whatever, and one's going to say, oh no, freedom of expression, you know, if that's the way, if that's how his like moral compass is going or whatever, then let him, you know, have his whatever. And then another therapist might say, no, 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 you take from him what he most cherishes so that he learns a lesson with
yeah.
no spanking or anything like that.
We
So
could have this, I'm sure we could find ways like in our examples, I mean not ways but examples, like you and I could even battle it out, like okay, what's at the end of the day,
absolutely.
it's
Right.
what works for you and your family setting, and
You
because
individually,
yes,
exactly.
cyber addiction is a real thing. This is
Oh
like
gosh.
those gaming
Oh, I know.
especially for
Kids
boys and
never used to
girls.
do that. They were always playing outside, and then
Yeah.
one thing happens after another, and then you're into that stuff. And that's their way of socializing. That's the
Yeah.
thing. So
Mhm.
many kids are like lonely out there because everything is social media,
Yeah.
and boys don't get nearly many as likes as girls. And so you're, you know, people are choosing to have video games and stuff because that's their way of talking to people all around the world. They meet
Yeah.
friends that way. They feel a part of something. But
Yeah.
you know, as you and I both agree, that's not the type of part of something you want your kids to be into full time. I mean, if that's their thing, is that their wind down time, go for it. You know what I
Well, that's it.
mean?
It's all about moderation, right? There's some moderation. The thing is with gaming or social media, it's well, we see it. I could waste so much time on social media if I don't and auto-regulate. And I'm
Yeah,
I'm 53. Like I mean, we can't
yeah.
ask a 13-year-old
Dangerous.
or
I don't do the social media that much because I feel like it always makes you feel like shit. Like you look it up and you see, oh, somebody just
Look
had
at
this
that.
great vacation, or their
Yeah.
son's in law school or becoming a doctor or a priest or whatever. And you're just like,
But you
hell
know
did
it's
I do
fake, right?
wrong?
It's one picture of one moment that was
Exactly,
captured
right.
in their
Yeah.
whole,
Yeah.
well, in
Yeah.
that time,
Right.
right? So it's,
Exactly.
and that's another topic we could talk about. Like, I'm trying to go on my walk without, when I walk the dog, without the
Absolutely.
phone, and to be present. And so that's my
Right.
time, and to be like looking, listening, seeing, whatever, thinking without having
Right.
that phone. But sometimes I think, oh, I'd like to take a picture of this. But even if you take a
Yeah.
picture of this at that moment, it's beautiful. But it's
Exactly.
just this, so
But it
that moment,
takes away from being in the moment.
yeah, and it goes
Takes
away.
away
That
from
moment is
being
lost.
present there, right?
That's
Because you're
right.
sitting there going, oh, this would look good for my post, or look at this, look at that. And then you're not engaging with nature. You're not engaging, say, with your dog or wherever. Not
Yeah.
that I'm any, don't get me wrong. I like to have my phone with me. I feel like, oh, what if I have an accident or something? I mean, it's a ridiculous
I know,
crime,
that's it. We think,
right? But I mean, I'm not going to go on it to look at everybody how they're aging better or skinnier. I mean, I'm happy for anybody that is doing what they want to do with their life, whether they're skinny, fat,
hey, it's
workout,
the way
go,
to
whatever.
reach the world. And
Exactly.
through that pandemic, thank God we had that, right? I
Thank
started this
God.
amazing
Good
like
point.
workout program online,
Yeah,
and now
that is
I'm
a
starting
very good
to
point. Very good point
publicity,
about the pandemic,
cooking
is, or
online,
social media. Yeah.
like like there's a lot of stuff you could find,
Yeah.
and you just
A
have
lot
to
of support.
yeah.
Like people, psychologists, psychiatrists, having the telehealth and Zoom to help people out. Lots of suicide hotlines were posted more of. So,
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, like we always say, to each his own. I mean, if that's how you connect with the outside world, then more power to you, because enough people are struggling with depression and, anxiety. And I mean,
I
that's
think you
how
have to dissociate when you look at social media, you have to dissociate, oh, this person is a happy moment. Wow, she's so happy. And look at that. Now I'm
yeah,
home and I don't look that way, or I don't
right.
have the money to travel, or I can't
Right.
because this,
Right.
that. But to dissociate this thing, like to know, if okay, well, she took that that picture at that
Right.
moment, but right now
Yeah.
she could be living a very miserable.
Average, right.
No, but I mean,
She could be just like, oh, obese. She's stuck to the couch. She has peanut butter growing out of her
or
eardrums.
maybe the kids are having a full-blown
We're like, all
tantrum.
right, post that picture. No, I mean,
But I had that comment said to me.
yeah,
Somebody said, "Oh, you
yeah.
have such a happy life." And I'm like, "Yeah, it seems like
Are you
pandemic's
kidding
been
me?
so
Right.
blissful." I'm
I
like,
know.
"Oh my God, okay, this person
Don't let
really."
my pictures fool you. That's it. I mean, and of course you're going to only want to put your best you out there. Who wants to post a picture where you look, snaggled to
What
ugly?
makes us post a picture? That's why since then I'm really like,
Yeah.
well, yes, I'm running my business, so I'm posting like pictures of wellness
Right.
and nutrition
Sure.
and smoothies
Yeah.
and recipes.
And that's nothing that would put people down either. That's not like something where you go, oh, look at her. She looks so good. Oh, I wish I could look like that, and then get down. What you're posting is all helpful, healthy lifestyle choices,
I'm
I
trying to
think.
make it resonate that way, but maybe who knows? I think at the end of the day, social media or not, there's always
Right.
going to be, before social media, it was more the neighbors, the neighborhood, and
Exactly.
this person would
Right.
watch, and so did this, and there were more maybe gossiping
And
that
parents
way.
were involved. Parents could then say, okay, you better get home. I heard your mother ring the bell, or
Yeah.
the street lights are on. Now, of course, we know we can't do any of that because someone's going to say, oh, you're harassing my child or whatever, which that's a fine line again about to each his own, isn't it? Because you're going to be mama bear when anything is going on with your own child,
Yeah.
but you have to try to be mama bear and the devil's advocate bear too, so that you raise them to be accountable for if they're part and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because if we don't do that, then if they are able to do shitty things to people, then they're gonna, if they think, oh, it's always Joey's fault instead of your child's fault, it doesn't really help anybody in the long run.
No.
Help them mature or grow, but
No.
as you always say, do it with kindness.
Yes,
That's
if there's
the hard thing to do.
kindness, then there's always, sometimes you'll have a bad day and you don't feel
Right.
you're not gravitating around the spectrum of the kindness. You're more gravitating about like the
You're way in
pittiness.
outer space. You're like, all right, everybody, that's that to the kindness. I'm not doing any more kindness for the next year. I did enough. I've had enough of that crap. That's it. You're like, okay, so just be the bad news bear then. That's fun. But we're only human. I mean, like, anything we talk about is about our own humility, our own embarrassments, our own faux pas. But like when it comes to choosing battles, we're self-preserving. We're protecting us. We're protecting our heart and soul, because why get into some tiff about something that, are we even going to think about it in a couple of days? You know what I mean? And, and the idea of like your child, as we would say, defacing our bodies, and what is it going to look like when you're older, but it's their way of expressing themselves. And we also don't want to put a cloud over their creative expression, right? We want them to be individuals and be who they, naturally, innately are as human beings. We don't want little minions of us. That's how, not that our parents raised us that way on purpose, but it was a little more like that,
We're
right?
still working on that. If you have a child that's definitely, let's say you're more like an artist and more like, in education, and then you have a child
hippy dippy, I call that.
More, pardon?
I call it hippy dippy.
A hippy dippy, but
people
then
are
the
like,
child
granola and so good with
wants
that
to
stuff.
have his business or something, like
Right.
let's say they want, so then you're like, what? Or like, it doesn't work, it doesn't, but that's the beauty of having children too. So, or it could be the reverse, right? You're business oriented and then you have a child that's more hippy dippy, like you said,
Right.
hippy dippy.
Hippy dippy. But that's the beauty of it. You want your children to all pick and choose what they want to be, not only do it because that's what your parents told you to do. That's what I did. I did like exactly what I was expected to do, go to prep school, then go to college. It was like if I didn't do at least 4 years of college, it was like very much frowned upon.
Yeah.
And yet, my druthers would have been to become like a makeup artist or a beautician or something. I love all that sort of stuff, but that wouldn't have been accepted then, which was fine because I got a good education and it's all good. But now we want to only give our children encouragement and whatever it is, you know what I mean? You might have.
And do you think that it goes like some philosophers will say it's always like the yin yang kind of thing, like the balance.
Absolutely.
So now our parents were like that, so we were parenting a little bit like that, and now our kids will parent back like that, saying, okay, no, we had too much of because some kids are just going from one program to another, and we're like, it's okay, just go, I pay.
Right. And then you think, oh my God, but should we be harder on them and say, no, you have to stay in college, you have to get your highest degree so you make money. But now the world is trending more towards like entrepreneurial things. Yeah. So, and if that's, how cool is it for your kids to be able to, control what they do for the rest of their lives? If whatever you do, if you love what you do, you're going to be successful at it, right?
And you're going to do it more on a long term.
That's
and you're going to enjoy, right? Like this is the thing too. I guess we just want what's best for our children, but sometimes our ideas are not
in line with theirs. But then now that we have adult children, then we hear things like my son who's 28, he's been saying to me since he was like 22, Mom, you gave us too much, you spoiled us too much. Like, we basically got paid before we did the work. And I was like, yeah, that's probably true. It's because I was over compensating, trying to give them what I didn't have as a child, right?
Yeah.
And he'll say to me, it makes it so much harder, Mom, to save money, to balance money, to not want to spend because we were given gratification so easily. And of course, it's kind of like you're thinking, well, yeah, that's a big criticism. Sorry for being so good to you.
Well, hey
But then
kid,
there's
you
the
will
other
go to
part.
therapy and it'll be because we did something or not did
Exactly.
something right, and
No
we
matter
don't
what.
know.
Yep.
And
And
as
not
men,
intentionally. I mean, there's some
no,
stuff as you
no,
do grow, you learn, oh God, I shouldn't have made that such a big deal. I shouldn't have made this such a big deal. You definitely mellow with age. No two ways about it, right?
there's,
You're not as, and with each child, you become a little bit less, anal and obnoxious and like, everything's such a big deal, right? It's like, oh my God, they have to have an app. Oh, they haven't eaten their carrots today. Oh my God, they're gonna get beta carotene. Are they gonna die? You know what I mean? Like, well,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
my
yeah.
spastic personality where I was just like, oh, you're just so consumed with them, but then each one comes. I mean, by my fourth, instead of, like I said, having, all the perfect food groups, it was like, here's your granola bar and a sippy cup of milk. We're going to preschool. We're going to a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
we're
just get
doing
less.
it and it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You have
yeah, for sure.
less energy, or maybe less desire to major in the minor and to pick battles because you have to
Big
with them,
battles. Maybe that should
right?
be the title of this podcast, this episode. Like
Yeah.
pick
Pick
battles,
your
pick
battles.
your
Even in
battles.
marriage, pick your battles. Even in marriage, because like if you have a partner that doesn't agree with something that your child's doing, of course it puts all of that pressure on you, on mothers. Like when my ex-husband would say like, oh, the kids didn't do this, or like I would just feel so much pressure because I was trying to please him and please, five different personalities and opinions and things like that. So I think
Well, for
it's
any relationship, I think that's a bit of a, even with my parents or with my
right.
sister or my colleagues, right? Like
Yeah.
or friendships too, right? It's not, it's this pick your battles, I agree to disagree,
Right.
where, usually when it's a friend or family, which button to push or not to push
Exactly. And
often.
you learn through emotional maturity, hopefully. And
Yeah.
some people still like to push those buttons, but that's because they just ain't as perfect as we are yet. You know what I'm saying? I mean, get with the program, people. That's why we're talking to you. Don't let emotional immaturity or emotional immaturity, maturity, whatever, stunt your growth. Don't let
No.
it stunt you because it's so worth pushing through, isn't it? It's so
Yeah.
worth, like when we're young and in relationships, when we feel insecure about our bodies or about our career choice or whatever, we just want to please, 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 please. And it's important to stop and say, not that you don't want to please and you don't want to take care of everything, but as a mother, you're taking on the burden of everybody's feelings and your husband included, and that you're trying to constantly, decipher and worm your way through what's the best approach to handle it. Right. And as you said, they're all gonna need therapy. I mean, we do. I mean, like, you know what I mean? As long as you get a good therapist, because that can really mess with you as well. Right?
Yes, the right, or there's different kinds of therapies out there. There's art therapy, music therapy, or sometimes just a good massage.
Sexual therapy. I'd lean towards a sexual therapy, I think, first.
Oh.
Maybe, you never know. I don't know. At my age, I kind of think like, you kind of, I don't know, been there, done that sort of thing. But yeah, I think I do think it's a very imperative topic because we're all learning. We're all trying to learn. We're always trying to say, okay, because each day you have a beginning, you have a new and fresh beginning to be able to recreate yourself and find new things that you like, or find new things that say, whoa, tap the brakes on that one. I don't need to be so wound up at my husband or not use my voice. Like if your husband or your partner is oppressing you and stressing you out so much, it's important to be able to say, hey, can we communicate differently? Or could we, reserve time for this type of topic? Because, I'm freaking on edge all the time worrying about everybody. And now you're bringing more to my plate. Back off. You know what I mean? No, because, you get heaped on. You get heaped on, and you don't. And I don't think, because in most relationships, or at least for you and I, our kids always came to us, right?
Yeah.
They came to us.
Well, we
So
were the main caregiver. I mean, in different places, it's the dad that's the main caregiver, but I guess
or a nanny.
or
Next time we'll have 12 nannies and 100 dogs and maybe only have one child.
or grandparents. I
Have a
mean,
nanny
you know,
for me. No, yeah, exactly. I mean, we hope that each day somebody takes something bright and cheerful out of anything and make it, that's their motto, make that their catchphrase. Like, you know what? Today I'm not going to get so pissed off with my neighbor when he lets his garbage go all over my yard, dog shredded.
yeah.
Well, of course, that's going to really get you mad. But, you know, I mean, just having more self-preservation to say, why get myself all worked up and in a fuss? Like, even I have to give the Dick credit on this one. He even would say to me sometimes, why bother fighting? Like, what's the point? But yeah, he could say that, but you know, we didn't need to fight.
Well, it's good. I mean, you have to act with, you know, what you think, but I mean, it is a good one. Why fight it and just accepting,
Especially when you
right?
know
Just
you're on the
accepting.
same team, you love each other. It's like, you know, don't major in the minor. Don't be a scorekeeper. Scorekeeping is the biggest thing that will ruin any relationship, right? If you're keeping tabs like, oh my God, he slept 10 minutes longer than I did, or he got lunch with his friends, or he spent money on this. That is a huge doomsday
No, yeah.
for anybody, don't you think? I mean, that's just like, that would be the biggest advice I could give to anybody getting married. Don't keep score, because
That's a good one.
life's too short. Yeah, I mean, it's
That's a
supposed to
good,
be unconditional love, and
that's a
keeping
good,
score only causes more tension, more
Yeah.
passive aggression, right?
there's
Would
no,
you
there's
rather have
no,
somebody say, I don't like that you're like keeping score because I slept for an extra hour. Screw you, I'm the one that carried the children. I'll sleep for an extra 8 hours if I need to. But, you know, I mean, there's pros and cons. There's, you know, mediation somewhere along the line.
of course, that's conversation, communication, mediation. It's like, it's all in the way you say it too, right? Picking the right
Yep.
timing. That's another
Yep.
one.
I used to be terrible at that too. I would literally like, I was such an over analytical, like OCD type of person that if I always made a motto, I never wanted to go to bed mad. I think that's like the worst thing in a partnership or relationship or anything. And so I find that if the topic wasn't resolved, I would have to get to the bottom of it. Didn't matter if we stayed up till 4 a.m, but I needed to like feel that we were on the same page and that we weren't going to bed in a bad manner. But you know, not everybody likes having to get up for work at 5 a.m. after having a 4-hour conversation. But
And
it usually does break through. It usually does end up, you're moving forward, you're growing in your relationship rather than just keep doing things that irritate each other and never say anything about it, because that's what, you know, creates the
little
individual.
yeah.
That's what makes you start sleeping in separate bedrooms, deciding to go out with your friends after work. You know what I mean? Like not really wanting to be home as much.
Yeah.
So it's not worth the energy.
That's a good advice. I mean, if you can't like always settle it, I mean, if it doesn't work the same night, then it could be the next morning or the next
Exactly.
evening.
Yep. Or you could stop and maybe say, is it worth it? Is it worth me to be upset about this?
Yeah.
Because, but I think that's only in a secure relationship. And I think it's only if you are feeling nurtured and like, okay, when I register a complaint about something, is it going to be a huge blow up, or can I just say, you know, hey, I really get sad when you do it this way or whatever. So the person feels safe to be able to say that, and that takes emotional maturity on both people's side, right?
Absolutely.
So,
those are
you
good
can be as
advice.
Good as you want, right?
Because people are still getting married. I think that it's love is still love, right? Love is love is love.
Love's the most beautiful thing in the world.
And it's
I mean,
such,
you know, we're both been divorced. I don't think either one of us, no matter how unhappy, mad, sad, angry, whatever we were, at the end of the day, if we could have gone back in time, we damn hell wouldn't have stayed with our man. We damn wouldn't have stayed with him, but we would have. we would have because of our children and because of our family values. It's a far easier way to go, I think, in the long run for the devastation for children. But then on the other hand, you can't stay in a marriage where you're not happy too, you know?
And well, because if there's a lot of fighting, a lot of anger, that the family's dipping in.
Experiencing all the trauma. I mean, it's so traumatic for kids. I mean, I always was a believer, you know, it's fine to be open and argue in front of your children as long as you always make up, as long as you resolve it. Because I've noticed that people that didn't have any conflict, they don't want any. They don't want to address any subjects that could potentially get into some sort of argument or guilt trip or whatever. So they avoid it once again, and you're not then opening up to your partner. So it's so
it's a cycle. Yeah, I know what you mean.
It is, isn't it?
It depends the extent of the fight too, right? If it becomes very mean, then that's hard too. And it really depends. I mean, I don't know. It's such, we're not boxed in, right? As humans, we're all our flavor of personality, and with the partner that you have and the children.
And what makes your boat float? I mean, there's some people that live with their wives control their every move. I mean, they control their bowel movements practically. And then the men are fine. You know what I mean? Though there's men that love that, having the wife that's got the more, you know, stronger personality.
Matriarchal,
yeah. So it's all, you know, it's all whatever your freak flag is, basically, as long as it works and it's healthy for you, and you can give your kids as much of a stable upbringing as you possibly can, which we all know is a very tough craft.
Well, that's what I would like to ask for the viewers that have experienced relationship, long or short, whatever. What is the secret? What is their secret recipe? Like, what is, maybe we could share that on another time, like what's, or like, I don't know if I could share.
Or have people write into us, message us on YouTube at sasswithclass50@gmail.com, or just sasswithclass. They can message us on YouTube. I do that again. I need to go back into preschool and get my speech lessons that I had to have.
You're amazing.
Because I stuck to my thumb till I was like 20. No, not quite 20, maybe 18. But anyway, you know, it's like, yeah, we want people. We're doing this because we love each other and we want to help anybody, because we've been through, like, you know, quite a lot of different stuff with everything having, you know, we've had 20-year-long relationships, but we haven't gotten to those like 30s, 40s, things like that, or people that have had better times in first marriages and second marriages, or children with your children, people that have issues with their children or co-parenting, anything. Please reach out. Please tell us what you think, because we are interested. You know,
we want to know. We want to read you.
Everyone. That's right. We want to read you. I want to read your poems. I don't know how to read poems though.
For sure.
Have to get somebody in for that.
So that'd be good. So we'll wait for your comments.